Okay, so for the second card, we're sticking with the kind of black and white theme that I've got going on. So I have a piece of white paper here. It's a linen finish. It's going to be impossible for you guys to see the fact that it's a linen. Oh, it's not impossible. Check that out. So this is that linen texture of this paper. Such a great paper. And I've stamped the sentiment, "Have a dandy day" on it. So I picked the same black and white pattern papers that I did in the last card. So I have these 4. Now, I wanted to make some more because, of course, I only have 4 and I need 6 for my project here. So you have the 4 there. So you can always pick any of 4 random black and white pattern papers. I also cut out a piece of black cardstock and then used 2 sizes of hole punch to cut out some little dots. It kind of looks like a piece of Swiss cheese, black Swiss cheese. And then I have a piece of white, which is plain old white. So my intention is that you would draw a fun pattern on this one yourself. You don't have to, but I highly recommend it. So we're going to do that right now. I'm just going to take a moment and draw a fun pattern. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be like burlap where you kind of do the squiggly lines this way, squiggly lines that way. Maybe it's kind of fun. Maybe it's cross hatching where you do lines like this, lines like that. Maybe you're doing a checkerboard where you fill in. Maybe you're drawing tiny little hearts, maybe little dots. You can really do whatever you would like. I think I'm going to keep it in, I'm kind of looking at my patterns I have here, and since I don't really have a pattern that goes along with this, I'm going to do some of this kind of a thing. I'm just going to lay down some lines like this. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then this direction, I'm going to lay down some more, but I'm going to kind of break it up a little bit so it doesn't have, so that way it's not totally perfect. Oh, I'm just going to do that. And then I'm going to go back this way. I'm going to draw some more, doing more of that breaking up line thing. So this is where I've drawn a straight line, and then partway through the straight line I've picked up my pen and then continued the straight line a little bit afterwards. So I'm giving myself the same width. I'm going to go in here and just draw some straight lines just to kind of finish that off. So I'm working kind of in the same, my little squares are roughly the same size across the whole thing. So I'm working kind of in the same kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Ratio, I guess, size, measurement. So that way I'm kind of making the same kind of shape that I have here in this paper, because that shape isn't really anywhere else here. The kind of the little dashed lines are a little bit in the hedgehog, but these are all kind of dot. And so I wanted to kind of be more of like the straight line kind of theme, which is why I chose doing something like this. Okay. All right, so this is what we've ended up with. All right, that's kind of fun, not too difficult. If you don't like what you created, you have another side. All right, so I've used, again, my black glaze pen, which is just a nice black juicy gel pen, and it's all dry now. All right, so now to decorate the card. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to have you first off, I wanted to kind of add some little dots into this image here, but I didn't really know how I was going to guide you guys to do that. So I'm going to have you do it, and I'm actually going to have you just put a little dot on either side like this. Then I'm going to have you line up your paper here. We're actually going to use this as a stencil. You can decide if you want a little dot, a big dot, or a small dot. I'm going to decide I want small dots, so I'm going to line this up. So my dot that I drew to line up where I want the dot to be is actually in the middle of my little stencil that I've created here. Okay, like this. It looks like that. All right, so that's the dot that I just drew. Whoops, I just messed it up a little bit because my ink wasn't dry. I'm going to line up my dot on top of that so that it's in the middle there. Now I'm just going to fill that in. I'm using it as a stencil. I'm going to lift straight up. Oh, it's not perfect. My pen is too juicy. All right, I'm going to do that again, but I'm going to be a little bit better. Let's see if I can be better about it. If you're also using a glaze pen, I recommend maybe doing that and then letting it sit for just a second before you lift up. That way the ink doesn't just smear everywhere. It did anyway. Well, that's okay. We're doing this together. I decided I'm going to make bigger dots. You can use your large dot here as your guide. I'm not going to do that again because I'm pretty sure that it's just going to smear. So I'm just going to line this up and try. All right, there we go. I've just created 2 little circles. Good enough. Good enough. Okay, I'm done with my gel pen. All right, I wanted to balance it out a little bit because there's too much white space there before. Okay, so this is what we have at the moment. Have a dandy day. Yep, a black dot either side. If you are not happy with it, you can take a hole punch and pop out a couple pieces of black, which is probably what I should have done, just given you those 2 pop out pieces, but I didn't. I threw them away because I was like, we're not going to need these, and now I'm like, oh, should have kept those. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to lay this piece of white paper on the front of our card. Just like so. We're going to give ourselves about 1/16 of an inch on all 4 sides. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to lay down our little papers here. So I'm going to start with more solid one up here at the top so I have a little bit more contrast, and down here at the bottom. Lay these out. We're not going to glue them down quite yet, so that way I can kind of show you how we're going to kind of organize this a little bit. All right, so you are going to have, let's see if I can remember here, 1/4 of an inch between, is it 1/4 of an inch? It's roughly. Okay, so what we're going to do here is you're going to figure out which pieces you want in the middle on the top and bottom, and those ones you're going to glue down first, okay? And you're going to do about 1/4 of an inch width from the top, so we're in the middle, and then about 1/4 of an inch down of the white from the white. All right, so make sure this one is the same. It's going to be lining up with the hedgehog paper or whatever paper you've chosen for the middle and the top. It's going to be lining up with the lines right down below. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that, but your little squares, your lines are lining up like this, and there's 1/4 of an inch right here and 1/4 of an inch right here. Okay, all right, so now we're going to lay our other pieces in, and we're sticking with that 1/4 of an inch kind of measurement on the left and on the right. It's roughly 1/4 inch. You just want it to be even between these two and that little space right there. You want that space to be the same on the left and right. Okay, then we're going to go down here and we're going to do the same with this guy. Again, we want this one now to be even with the top and with the right side. You can use a ruler if you need to line that up. I usually just eyeball it. And then we're going to go in here and do the same thing here. Again, lining up this line here, that line there, the top and bottom right here, so it looks nice and even. All right, and there we have it. It's not a very difficult card, but it is cute. Oh my gosh, I just love it. Oh, isn't that fun? Oh, I just love that. I'm really grateful that gentleman came in and was talking about the black and light patterns. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna start keeping my eye out. If you really want to, you can take a fine line black pen and actually outline the little squares. However, when you do that, you're gonna end up thickening your lines a little bit. So if you do want to do that, you might want to just do it maybe just on the inside square. Or in the future, you could always take an ink pad and ink up the edges, and that way you'll get a nice black line on all 4 sides. I really like how this looked. I really think it's kind of fun and kind of funky, kind of geometric, but just makes me happy. And then my focal point, of course, is my little message. And same here. My focal point is my message. So then that way, the patterns, I'm not distracted by that. And you have some solids in here. Oh, I was gonna put this one over there. Oh, no, it's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm all right. I like what I did. All right, you guys. Thanks for coming to my card kit today. Have a fun day. See you later.